The morning sun shone brightly over Seoul National University as Tae-ho hurried across campus. Today was special. Today, history would be made. "Don't be late, don't be late," he muttered, checking his watch. The art building was on the far side of campus, and the welcome ceremony started in 10 minutes. Tae-ho wasn't usually excited about school events, but this was different. The first alien exchange students from the Galactic Coalition were arriving today, and somehow he had been chosen as a cultural guide. He reached the main hall just as Dean Park finished her opening speech. 3 tall, slender figures stood beside her on stage. Their skin was a light blue color and almost see-through. Tae-ho could make out the faint outlines of what looked like veins and organs beneath. "And now," said Dean Park, "I'd like to introduce our 3 Viridian guests. They have traveled over 20 light-years to study with us." The aliens bowed slightly, mimicking human greeting customs they had clearly practiced. "We welcome Nara, Duri, and Hanu to Earth. They will spend 1 semester learning about human culture, art, and society." After the ceremony, Tae-ho waited in a small meeting room. The doors slid open, and the 3 Viridians walked in, followed by Professor Kim. "Ah, Tae-ho, meet your new friends," Professor Kim said with a wide smile. "As our top art student with excellent English, you're perfect to help them adjust to life here." The aliens were even more striking up close. They stood about 7 feet tall, with long limbs and graceful movements. Their eyes were large and completely black, with no visible pupils. "Hello," said Tae-ho with a small bow. "I'm very happy to meet you." The tallest alien stepped forward. "I am Nara," she said. Her voice had a musical quality to it. "We are grateful for your assistance." She gestured to the others. "This is Duri, and this is Hanu." Duri nodded stiffly. Hanu made a strange gesture with their hands that must have been a Viridian greeting. "Tae-ho will show you around campus and help you with anything you need," Professor Kim explained. "He's studying traditional Korean art and knows our culture well." After Professor Kim left, an awkward silence filled the room. So, Tae-ho began, "Would you like a tour of the campus?" "Yes, please," said Hanu, who seemed the most relaxed of the 3. "We have read much about Earth, but seeing is different." As they walked across campus, Tae-ho noticed how carefully the aliens moved. They avoided brushing against anything and stepped back quickly when students rushed past. "Your species moves with much force," said Nara, watching a group of soccer players practicing nearby. "I guess we do," Tae-ho laughed. "Are Viridians different?" Duri spoke for the first time. "Our bodies are more fragile than yours. See." He held out his arm, where Tae-ho could clearly see a complex network of veins beneath the translucent skin. "Damage to even small vessels can be serious for us. That's why we're so interested in humans," Nara added. "Your species seems both sturdy and careful. You avoid pain, yet you can withstand conditions that would kill a Viridian." They stopped at a coffee shop. A student at the next table jumped and yelped after spilling hot coffee on his hand. "See," whispered Nara to the others. "They fear pain just as we do, but their bodies can resist more damage." Tae-ho didn't correct her. He was distracted by a message on his phone from his friend Soo-jin. "Don't forget your tattoo appointment next week. Want me to come with you?" He smiled and texted back, "Yes, and maybe I'll bring my new alien friends too. They should see some real human culture." Little did Tae-ho know, this casual invitation would completely change how the Viridians viewed humanity. They watched the student blow on his burned hand, confirming their theory that humans were just as afraid of pain as they were. How wrong they would soon discover they were. "And this is Gwangjang Market, one of the oldest markets in Seoul," Tae-ho said, leading the 3 Viridians through the busy food stalls. It was their 3rd day on Earth, and Tae-ho had promised to show them real human daily life. Nara walked carefully, her tablet out to record everything she saw. Duri stayed close behind her, while Hanu drifted from stall to stall, fascinated by the colors and smells. So many humans in one place, Duri said, stepping back as a group of children ran past. How do you avoid hurting each other? Tai-Ho laughed. We bump into each other all the time. It's no big deal. As if on cue, a man carrying too many shopping bags bumped into another shopper. Both looked annoyed but quickly moved on. See, just a normal day, Tai-Ho said. The aliens exchanged looks. On their world, such physical contact would cause great concern and many apologies. They stopped at a food stall selling tteokbokki, spicy rice cakes. Tai-Ho bought a serving and offered it to his new friends. Be careful, it's spicy, he warned. Hanu, the most adventurous, took a small bite. Their eyes widened, and they quickly reached for water. It causes pain in your mouth. Hanu gasped. Not pain exactly, Tai-Ho explained. It's spicy. Many humans enjoy the sensation. Nera made a note on her tablet. Fascinating. Controlled discomfort for pleasure. As they continued walking, they passed a woman who winced as she got a paper cut from a shopping bag. Another pain response. Nera whispered to Duri. They really do avoid injury just like us. Later that afternoon, they sat in a cafe near campus. Tai-Ho's friend, Su-Jin, joined them, eager to meet the aliens. How are you finding Earth so far? Su-Jin asked. Humans are very interesting, Nera replied. I am studying your species for my xenobiology thesis. You appear to be pain avoidant like Viridians, but your bodies can withstand much more damage. Su-Jin raised an eyebrow. Pain avoidant. I wouldn't exactly say that. Before Nera could ask what she meant, Tai-Ho's phone rang. He stepped outside to take the call. That was Jin from the tattoo shop, Tai-Ho said when he returned. He needs to move my appointment to next Tuesday. What is a tattoo? Duri asked, his translation device struggling with the word. It's an art form, Su-Jin explained. An artist uses needles to put ink under your skin to create permanent pictures. The three aliens froze. Nera's tablet slipped from her fingers. Needles? Under the skin? Hanu whispered. Yes, Tai-Ho said casually. I've been planning this design for months. It's a traditional Korean tiger that will go here. He pointed to his shoulder and upper arm. The aliens stared at him in silence. You allow someone to deliberately damage your skin? Duri finally asked. It's not really damage, Su-Jin said. Well, technically it is, but it heals. The ink stays, though. Nera quickly picked up her tablet and began typing rapidly. This must be some kind of medical procedure, she muttered, or perhaps a necessary ritual. No, it's just art, Tai-Ho said. Lots of humans get tattoos. Su-Jin noticed the aliens' confused expressions and had an idea. Hey, why don't you all come with Tai-Ho to his appointment? It would be really educational for your research on humans. Yes, Nara said quickly. We should observe this. Procedure. For science. Tai-Ho shrugged. Sure, if you want. Jin won't mind. As they left the cafe, the three Viridians walked behind, whispering urgently to each other. It must be some kind of medical treatment, Duri insisted. But they said it's art. Hanu countered. Perhaps humans have found ways to combine medicine with art, Nera suggested. Their pain tolerance must be extraordinary if they endure needle punctures for aesthetic purposes. All three shuddered at the thought of needles piercing skin. None of them could imagine voluntarily experiencing such pain. They had much to learn about humans. The weekend passed quickly. On Monday morning, Tai-Ho found the three Viridians waiting outside his classroom. Nara held her tablet as usual, while Duri and Hanu stood close together, looking worried. Good morning, Tai-Ho said with a smile. Did you enjoy your first weekend on Earth? It was informative, Nara replied. We visited the museum as you suggested. We also researched tattoos. Duri added, his voice lowered as if discussing something secret. Tai-Ho raised his eyebrows. Oh, and what did you learn? Han-Yu stepped forward. Our translation devices provided limited information. They say tattoos are decorative body modifications using ink inserted into the skin. That's right, Tai-Ho nodded. But why? Duri asked, his large black eyes fixed on Tai-Ho. Why would humans damage their protective outer layer? Tai-Ho thought for a moment. How could he explain something so normal to beings who had never considered decorating their bodies in such a way? It's a form of expression, he said finally. Humans have been getting tattoos for thousands of years, for many different reasons. Some do it to show what they believe in, some to remember important events, and others just because they think it looks beautiful. And your reason? Nora asked, typing rapidly on her tablet. My grandfather had a traditional tiger tattoo. He was an artist too. When he died last year, I decided to get a similar design to honor him. The aliens were quiet for a moment. Your appointment is tomorrow, yes? Nora asked. That's right. At 2 p.m. You're all still welcome to come. The three Viridians looked at each other, seeming to communicate without words. We would like to observe, Nora said formally. For research purposes. Great, Tai-Ho smiled. I'll meet you outside the art building at 1:30. As Tai-Ho walked away to his class, the aliens huddled together. I am concerned, Duri said. This procedure sounds dangerous. What if Tai-Ho is harmed? Humans must have medical safeguards, Nora reasoned. They would not allow a harmful practice to continue for thousands of years. Unless the benefits outweigh the risks, Han-Yu suggested. Perhaps there are health benefits we don't understand. Later that day, Tai-Ho met Su-Jin for lunch in the campus cafeteria. The aliens had gone to their xenobiology class. Are they really coming to watch you get tattooed? Su-Jin asked, picking at her bibimbap. Yes, Tai-Ho laughed. They seem very confused by the whole concept. Nara keeps calling it a procedure like it's a medical operation. Well, it kind of is from their perspective, Su-Jin reasoned. Think about it. Their skin is so thin you can see through it. The idea of pushing needles through skin must seem crazy to them. Tai-Ho nodded. I didn't think about it that way. Maybe I should explain more about what to expect. No, don't. Su-Jin said quickly. Let them experience it firsthand. It will be more educational that way. Across campus, the Viridians were in the university library, searching for more information about human tattoos. Look at this, Han-Yu called softly. They had found an old book with photographs of tattooed people from around the world. Duri shuddered as he looked at the images. So much ink. So many needles. Nara studied the pictures carefully. Notice how proud these humans look. This must be very important in their culture. I still don't understand why anyone would choose pain, Duri said. That's why we must observe tomorrow, Nara insisted. This may be key to understanding humans. That evening, Tai-Ho received a message from Nara, asking what they should bring to the tattoo procedure. He smiled and wrote back, just yourselves. And maybe some questions. Jin loves talking about tattoo history. In their temporary housing, the three aliens prepared for the next day. Han-Yu seemed excited. Nara was professional and focused, but Duri paced nervously. What if we faint? Duri worried. Viridians aren't meant to see blood or tissue damage. We are scientists, Nara reminded him. We observe without judgment. And Tai-Ho is our friend, Han-Yu added. We should support him through this, whatever it is. None of them slept well that night, their dreams filled with images of needles and ink and human skin. The next day at exactly 1:30 p.m., Tai-Ho found the three Viridians waiting outside the art building. Nara had her tablet ready. Duri stood stiffly, looking nervous. Han-Yu was bouncing slightly on their long legs, clearly excited. Ready to go? Tai-Ho asked with a smile. The tattoo shop is about a 10-minute walk from here. As they walked, Su-Jin joined them, greeting everyone with a cheerful wave. I can't believe this is your first tattoo, she said to Taiho. Are you nervous? A little, he admitted. But Jin is the best artist in Seoul for traditional designs. Duri moved closer to Taiho. Are you afraid of the pain? He asked quietly. Taiho shrugged. I know it will hurt some, but it's worth it for the art. The aliens exchanged confused glances. Pain that was worth it was a new concept to them. They turned down a small street lined with cherry trees and stopped in front of a building with a sign that read Ink Seoul in both Korean and English. A beautiful painting of a dragon covered the front window. Here we are, Taiho announced. Inside, the walls were covered with drawings and photographs of tattoos. The space was clean and bright, with soft music playing. A small fountain bubbled in one corner. A man with short black hair and arms covered in colorful tattoos looked up from the counter and smiled. Taiho, right on time. He came forward and bowed slightly. Then he noticed the three tall blue figures behind Taiho. Ah, you brought friends. And Viridians, I see. Welcome to Earth. This is Jin, Taiho explained to the aliens. He's been tattooing for 15 years. Jin smiled at the visitors. I've had alien customers before, but never Viridians. Are you interested in getting tattoos too? Duri stepped back quickly. No, we are here to observe, for science. Jin laughed. That's fine. Many people like to watch the process before deciding if tattoos are for them. He led them to a clean area with a special chair that could be adjusted into different positions. Nearby was a small table with a machine that had a thin needle at the end. Nara moved closer to examine the equipment. This is the device that punctures the skin. Yes, this is a tattoo machine, Jin explained. It moves the needle up and down very quickly to put ink under the skin. Hanu leaned in to look. How deep does it go? Not very deep, Jin said. Just into the second layer of skin, the dermis. Duri had moved to the farthest corner of the room. And this is safe, he asked. Of course, Jin nodded. I use new needles for each customer. Everything is sterilized, and I follow all health regulations. He turned to Taiho. Let me show you the final design before we start. Jin brought out a large paper with a beautiful drawing of a tiger. It was drawn in a traditional Korean style, with flowing lines and bold shapes. It's perfect, Taiho said, his eyes bright. Just like my grandfather's. Jin nodded. I worked hard to capture that old school style. Now, let's get started. You'll need to take off your shirt and sit here. As Taiho removed his shirt and sat in the chair, the aliens watched closely. Jin put on gloves and prepared his equipment. First, I need to clean the area, Jin explained, wiping Taiho's shoulder and upper arm with a special solution. Next, he placed a paper with the tiger design on Taiho's skin. When he removed it, a purple outline remained. This is just the guide, Jin explained. It will wash off later. He prepared the tattoo machine, which made a buzzing sound when turned on. The aliens moved closer, fascinated and horrified at the same time. Are you ready? Jin asked Taiho. Ready, Taiho nodded. Jin brought the needle to Taiho's skin. Nara, Duri, and Hanu held their breath. The moment of truth had arrived. The tattoo machine buzzed loudly as Jin touched the needle to Taiho's skin. The three Viridians watched in frozen horror as the needle began to move rapidly, leaving small black lines behind. You're deliberately injuring him, Duri cried out, his voice high with distress. Jin paused and looked up, confused. This is how tattoos work, he explained calmly. The needle puts ink under the skin. The Viridians stared as a tiny drop of blood appeared mixed with extra ink. Nara swayed slightly, her blue skin turning a paler shade. Are you okay? Jin asked, moving closer to the aliens. Maybe you should sit down. Hanu was the first to speak. Taiho, are you in pain? Taiho nodded. Yes, it hurts some, like a burning scratch. But it's not too bad. Dury stepped forward suddenly. We must stop this. On our world, causing pain to another being is forbidden. Jin lifted the needle away from Taiho's skin, looking concerned. Maybe I should explain more about the process. Please do, Nara said weakly from the chair where Su Jin had guided her to sit. Why would humans choose this? Jin set down his machine. Tattoos have been part of human culture for thousands of years. Different cultures use them for different reasons, to mark important life events, to show status, for protection, or simply for beauty. But the pain, Hanu said, their eyes fixed on the small red marks on Taiho's shoulder. The pain is part of it, Taiho explained. Many people see it as earning the tattoo. The experience is important, not just the final picture. Su Jin nodded. For some cultures, the pain is a test of courage or a rite of passage. The aliens listened in silence, trying to understand. You said humans fear pain, Su Jin continued. And we do, in many ways. But we also sometimes choose pain for something we value more. Voluntary suffering, Nara whispered, making notes on her tablet. Fascinating. Jin showed the aliens his own arms, covered in colorful tattoos. Each of these tells a story about my life. This one is for my daughter's birth. This one remembers my father. This one marks when I opened this shop. Dury still looked troubled. But there are painless ways to decorate your body. Why choose needles? Because it's permanent, Taiho said. The art becomes part of you forever. The pain is temporary, but the tattoo remains. Jin picked up his machine again. Should I continue? Or would it be too upsetting for your friends? Taiho looked at the aliens. It's up to you. You can leave if you want. Nara straightened in her chair. No, we came to learn about humans. We should observe the full process. I will stay too, Hanu decided. Dury hesitated, then nodded stiffly. For science, he said, though he moved to stand behind the others. Jin continued the tattoo. As he worked, Taiho breathed slowly and deeply. Sometimes he winced slightly when the needle hit a sensitive spot, but mostly he remained calm. How can you bear it? Hanu asked, watching closely. I focus on my breathing, Taiho explained. And I think about the finished tattoo, how proud of my grandfather would be. After 20 minutes, Jin paused to wipe away excess ink. The outline of the tiger's head was now visible on Taiho's shoulder. This is only the beginning, Jin told the aliens. The full tattoo will take 3 sessions to complete. 3, Dury exclaimed. You will endure this 3 times. Taiho nodded. Today is just the outline. Next time we'll add shading and then color. The Viridians were silent, processing this information. Everything they had assumed about humans and pain was wrong. These beings didn't just endure pain when necessary. They sometimes chose it, embraced it, and gave it meaning. I need to completely rethink my thesis, Nara said finally, typing rapidly on her tablet. Humans don't fear pain. They have mastered it. Jin continued working on Taiho's tattoo. The outline of the tiger was taking shape across his shoulder. The 3 Viridians had moved their chairs closer, their initial horror now turning to fascination. Notice how he controls his breathing, Nara whispered to the others, pointing at Taiho. His pain management techniques are remarkable. Taiho heard this and smiled. It's not that special. Most humans learn to handle different types of pain. Different types? Hanu asked, leaning forward. Su Jin, who had been quietly watching from the corner, joined the conversation. Yes, we have many words for pain. There's sharp pain, dull pain, burning pain, aching pain. And some pain we even seek out, Jin added as he wiped excess ink from Taiho's skin. Like the burn in your muscles after exercise, or the pleasant heat of spicy food. Dury shook his head in disbelief. On our world, all pain is avoided. Our medical science focuses on preventing even the smallest discomfort. That makes sense given your physiology. Sujin nodded. But human bodies are built to endure and recover. Jin paused his work and showed the aliens a spot on Taiho's skin where he had been tattooing for the past 10 minutes. See how the skin is already starting to heal. By tomorrow, it will form a thin protective layer. The Viridians moved closer to examine the area. Remarkable healing speed, Nara noted, making another entry in her tablet. As Jin resumed tattooing, Taiho winced as the needle moved over a sensitive area near his collarbone. That spot hurts more? Hanu asked. Yes, Taiho nodded. Some areas are more painful than others. Skin over bone usually hurts more than fleshy parts. Yet you continue, Duri observed, his voice softer now. Even knowing it will cause more pain. The end result is worth it, Taiho said. This tiger represents my family heritage. My grandfather had a similar tattoo. When I look at it, I'll think of him and feel connected to my past. Jin smiled as he worked. Tattoos tell our stories. They mark important moments in our lives. The pain is temporary, but the meaning lasts forever. Pain with purpose, Nara said thoughtfully. This changes everything I thought I knew about humans. After another hour of work, Jin sat back and wiped Taiho's shoulder one final time. That's enough for today. The outline is complete. He held up a mirror so Taiho could see. The black lines of the tiger now curved gracefully around his shoulder, the animal's face fierce and proud. It's perfect, Taiho said, his eyes bright with emotion. Exactly how I imagined it. Jin applied a thin, clear bandage over the tattoo. Keep this on for a few hours. The skin will be sore for a few days, and you'll need to keep it clean and moisturized. The Viridians listened carefully to the aftercare instructions. So the healing is part of the process too, Hanu observed. Yes, Jin nodded. How you care for a new tattoo affects how it will look for years to come. As they prepared to leave, Nara approached Taiho. Thank you for allowing us to witness this. It has completely changed our understanding of humans. How so? Taiho asked. We thought humans feared pain like we do, she explained. But now I see that you have a complex relationship with it. You don't simply avoid pain. You understand it, use it, and sometimes even choose it for higher purposes. Sujin smiled. I guess that's true. We never really thought about it that way. Outside the tattoo shop, the afternoon sun was starting to lower in the sky. The three Viridians walked slightly ahead, talking excitedly among themselves. I think they learned something important today, Sujin said quietly to Taiho. He nodded, touching his bandaged shoulder gently. And honestly, so did I. Sometimes you need to see yourself through alien eyes to understand what makes humans human. The next day, Taiho's shoulder was sore but healing well. He met the three Viridians in the university cafeteria for lunch. They had arrived early and saved a table near the window. How do you feel? Duri asked as soon as Taiho sat down. Is the injury? I mean, the tattoo causing you pain? Taiho smiled. It's a bit sore, like a sunburn. Nothing serious. Nara was watching him closely. Fascinating. Your species treats damage to the skin so casually. Well, not all damage, Sujin said as she joined them at the table. We definitely avoid serious injuries. We just have a different threshold for what counts as serious. Speaking of thresholds, Hanu said, do Viridians have any body decoration practices? The three aliens exchanged glances. Then Nara held out her arm. We do, but very different from yours. She pressed a spot on her wrist. Slowly, a pattern of soft blue light spread beneath her translucent skin, following the paths of her veins. That's beautiful, Taiho said in wonder. It's a temporary bioluminescent compound, Nara explained. It bonds with our circulatory system for a few hours, then dissolves naturally. No pain at all, Duri added proudly. And no permanence, Hanu said, with what sounded almost like disappointment. Our decorations last days at most. Jin pulled up her sleeve to show a small flower tattoo on her wrist. Each of my tattoos tells a story. This one I got when I graduated high school. This one, she pointed to another on her forearm, is for my sister who moved to America. The Viridians studied her tattoos with new interest. So humans mark major life events on their bodies permanently, Nara observed. The pain becomes part of the memory. Sometimes, Taiho nodded. But there are other things humans do that might seem strange to you too. Like what? Hanu asked eagerly. Well, we eat spicy food that causes pain in our mouths, Jin offered. The hotter the better for some people. And exercise, Taiho added. Working out often hurts, but we do it anyway because it makes our bodies stronger. Some people even watch scary movies that make them feel afraid, or ride fast rides that create a feeling of danger, Jin continued. We call it good fear or good pain sometimes. The aliens were silent, processing this information. There's a human saying, Taiho said after a moment. No pain, no gain. It means sometimes you have to experience discomfort to improve or get something valuable. Duri, who had been quiet, finally spoke. I think I'm beginning to understand. Your bodies are not just stronger than ours. Your entire relationship with physical sensation is different. Exactly, Nara nodded enthusiastically. Humans use pain as a tool, not just something to be avoided. Hanu was scrolling through something on their device. I've been researching other human practices. Some humans hang from hooks through their skin. Others walk on hot coals. Those are more extreme examples. Jin laughed. Not everyone does those things. But they exist, Hanu insisted. Your species is remarkably diverse in its approach to pain. I guess we are, Taiho said thoughtfully. I never really considered it before. Nara put down her tablet. In my original research, I classified humans as pain-avoidant, but physically resilient. Now I see that was too simple. You have a complex cultural relationship with pain that we lack entirely. Would you like to try? Jin asked suddenly. Not a real tattoo, but maybe Jin could show you what it feels like with just the needle, no ink. The three Viridians looked shocked. Our skin is too fragile, Duri said quickly. But, Hanu said slowly, I wonder if there's a way to create something like your tattoos that would work for us. Taiho smiled. Maybe there is. We should ask Jin. He loves a challenge. As they continued their lunch, the conversation flowed easily between topics. The initial shock had turned into genuine cultural exchange. The Viridians were beginning to see humans not just as strange, pain-resistant beings, but as a species with a rich and complex understanding of physical sensation. And Taiho was seeing his own culture through new eyes too. 3 weeks later, Taiho returned to Ink Soul for his final tattoo session. The three Viridians insisted on coming along again. This time, they entered the shop without hesitation, greeting Jin like an old friend. Welcome back. Jin smiled as they arrived. Ready to finish this tiger today? Taiho nodded eagerly. I can't wait to see it complete. The outline had healed well, and the second session had added shading to the tiger. Today was for adding color and final details. We have been studying human tattoo traditions, Nara told Jin as Taiho prepared for the session. They are remarkably diverse across your planet. Jin nodded, setting up his equipment. Every culture has its own styles and meanings. In Korea, traditional tattoos like Taiho's tiger often represent strength and protection. As Jin began working, applying rich orange and black colors to the tiger, the aliens watched with genuine interest rather than horror. Duri, who had been the most disturbed during the first session, now leaned in to observe the technique. The colors stay there forever, he asked. If done properly and cared for, yes, Jin confirmed. The ink can fade a little over many years, but good tattoos last a lifetime. Permanent art, Hanu said with a touch of envy in their voice. We have nothing like this on our world. Jin arrived halfway through the session, bringing drinks for everyone. "How's it going?" she asked. "Almost finished," Jin replied, carefully adding fine white highlights to the tiger's whiskers. "Just a few more details." Taiho sat calmly through the process. Sometimes he winced slightly, but mostly he seemed peaceful, watching the alien's reactions with amusement. "Your pain tolerance has improved," Nara observed. "Not really," Taiho replied. "I just know what to expect now. The first time is always the hardest with anything painful. Like the first time eating spicy food," Jin added with a laugh. After another hour, Jin finally sat back and put down his machine. "Done," he announced with satisfaction. He wiped Taiho's shoulder one last time and held up a large mirror. The tiger was now complete, vibrant orange with black stripes, fierce eyes, and powerful muscles that seemed to flow with Taiho's own body. "It's amazing," Taiho said, his voice filled with emotion. "Even better than my grandfather's." The Viridians gathered around to see the finished artwork. "Beautiful," Handu whispered. "It looks alive. The way it follows the shape of your shoulder is most effective," Nara noted, making the final entry in her research tablet. Even Duri seemed impressed. "I must admit, the result is worth the process. It honors your ancestor well." Jin applied the protective covering and explained the final aftercare instructions. "Keep it clean, apply the healing cream twice daily, and no swimming for 2 weeks." Nara recorded every detail of the instructions, fascinated by the healing process. "I've been thinking about your question," Jin said to Hanu as he cleaned up his equipment, "about creating something like tattoos for Viridians." Hanu perked up. "Yes. I've been researching your physiology with help from the university's xenobiology department," Jin continued. "I think I might be able to create a special ink that would bond with your skin cells without damaging them. It would be more like a stain than a traditional tattoo." "Would it be permanent?" Hanu asked eagerly. "Semi-permanent, maybe lasting a year or so before fading," Jin explained. "And completely painless." Hanu's eyes widened with excitement. "Could you really do that?" Jin smiled. "I love a challenge. If you're interested, we could try developing it." "I would be honored to be your test subject," Hanu said immediately. As they left the shop, the group walked together through the streets of Seoul. The afternoon sun made the buildings glow golden. "I never expected to learn so much about humans from watching you get a tattoo," Nara said to Taiho. "You are a fascinating species." "How so?" Taiho asked. "You feel pain as we do, but you have mastered it rather than being ruled by it," she replied. "You transform something negative into art, into meaning. That is remarkable." Taiho smiled, touching his newly completed tattoo gently through the bandage. "I think that might be the nicest thing anyone has ever said about humans." 2 months after Taiho's tattoo was completed, the main lecture hall at Seoul National University was filled to capacity. Students and professors from every department had come to hear the special presentation by the Viridian exchange students. "I never expected this many people," Taiho whispered to Jin as they found seats near the front. "Well, it's not every day aliens present a study about humans," she replied with a smile. The lights dimmed, and Dean Park stepped onto the stage to introduce the speakers. "Today marks a historic moment in our exchange program with the Galactic Coalition. Our 3 Viridian guests will present their research findings on human culture." Nara, Duri, and Hanu walked onto the stage. They looked different from when they had first arrived. They moved with more confidence around humans now, and Hanu had a small design visible on their arm, one of Jin's experimental Viridian safe markings. "Greetings," Nara began. "When we first came to Earth, we had many misconceptions about humans. Today, we will share what we have learned." A large screen behind them lit up with the title, "Human Pain Endurance as Cultural Expression." "We originally believed humans were simply pain-avoidant like Viridians, only with more physically resilient bodies," Nara continued. "We were wrong." The presentation showed images of various human practices, tattoos, spicy food competitions, marathon runners, and people enjoying roller coasters. Humans have a unique relationship with pain, Dury explained. They avoid harmful pain, yet deliberately seek certain forms of discomfort for higher purposes: art, growth, pleasure, and cultural meaning. Hanu stepped forward. The turning point in our research came when we witnessed our friend Taiho receiving a traditional tattoo. A picture of Taiho's completed tiger tattoo appeared on the screen. There was a murmur of appreciation from the audience. This experience completely changed our understanding of humanity. Hanu continued. We realized that humans don't just endure pain, they transform it into something meaningful. The presentation continued for an hour, covering various aspects of human pain tolerance and cultural practices. The audience was fascinated, seeing themselves through alien eyes. After the formal presentation, many students approached the Viridians with questions. Taiho's tiger tattoo became the center of attention, with many people asking to see it. Your thesis has been accepted by the Galactic Cultural Institute, Dean Park told Nera later at the small celebration held for the exchange students. It's already changing how other species view humans. For the better, I hope, Nera replied. Definitely, the dean nodded. Your observation that humans master pain rather than avoid it has created quite a stir. Across the room, Jin was showing Hanu and several curious students the special marking technique he had developed for Viridian skin. The design on Hanu's arm glowed softly, a simple tiger inspired by Taiho's tattoo, but adapted to work with their translucent blue skin. Will you get one too? Taiho asked Dury, who was watching the demonstration. Dury, who had been the most frightened by the tattoo process initially, smiled slightly. I am considering it, not because I wish to experience pain as humans do, but to remember my time here. That's exactly why many humans get tattoos, Taiho said, to remember important times in their lives. As the evening ended, the three Viridians gathered with Taiho and Sujin near the window. Outside, the lights of Seoul made the city glow in the darkness. We return to our world next week, Nera said, but we take with us a new understanding of humanity. And what will you tell your people about us? Sujin asked. Anu touched their tiger, marking gently. That humans are not what we expected. You are stronger than you appear, not just in body, but in spirit. That you find meaning in challenges where others would see only suffering, Dury added. And that of all the species in the Galactic Coalition, Nera finished, humans may be the most surprising and the most inspiring. Taiho smiled, touching his tiger tattoo. From fearing a simple tattoo needle to calling us inspiring. That's quite a journey you've made. No, Nara corrected him gently. The journey was yours long before we arrived. We only learned to see it.